All right, folks, that was my somewhat iffy rendition of a tune called Lonesome Fiddle Blues. Now, I've had some requests lately from a few people on the guitar lesson suggestion box. If you go to my main channel, you'll see it as the only playlist there. And I've stopped leaving a link below because it just, I don't know, just when you can go to my channel and find it right there on the playlist, it just kind of doesn't make any sense to do that. Plus, I've got other things that I've been leaving below lately, such as my Bluegrass guitar course that's coming up, and, you know, some other links to resources that I mentioned within these videos. So it's just one extra link taking up space. So just go to my channel and you can see the very first, it should be the very first video on a playlist all by itself. It says guitar request lesson suggestion box or something like that. If you have any requests for me to do any videos, guitar related, or, you know, anything related to what you see that I'm doing on my channel lately, like vlogs or screencasts or anything like that, and you can leave a leave a suggestion there, because if you leave comments on all these other videos, chances are I'll forget about them, but I have one central location to go to when I need to check for videos. So if I forget about your video, forgive me, just go back and post it on that actual video and I'll get to it as soon as I can. But this and a couple other lessons have been requested, and I haven't done a new tune in forever, it seems like. So instead of me taking forever and a day to, you know, kind of, you know, break everything I'm doing down, I'm just going to try to go over the main highlights of this, and maybe give you some ideas of some other things you can do within the main song itself. This one is called Lonesome Fiddle Blues, and we're going to go over just that. Like I said, this was requested by a user, and I haven't checked that in a while, so I don't remember the user's name, and I apologize for that. But this one is one of the videos that was requested, Lonesome Fiddle Blues. I think this was, seems like my research ended in that this song was written by Vassar Clements. His name left me there for a minute. Vassar Clements, the awesome, you know, fiddle extraordinaire, who did not play the fiddle like anybody else on this planet. Had the wild vibratos, you know, the extra long, you know, phrases and things like that. Look him up. You'll see who I'm talking about. Seems like he wrote this or came up with it. It may be in another Bill Monroe tune, I don't know, but my research seems like it ended me in the conclusion that Vassar Clements wrote this song for fiddle. And it became, you know, later on a nice guitar standard. Some good resources that you can use in addition to this. If you check out Brian Sutton's Not Far From the Tree, he and Tony Rice actually did a rendition of this, Lonesome Fiddle Blues, and it's very good. There is another guy that I'm guessing he still plays some awesome guitar. I think he's a flat-picking champion, and I met him years ago. His name is Joe Smart, and he kind of reminded me of Joe Bonamassa, however you say his name. But he kind of, you know, reminded me of him. Kind of has the same jawline structure and things. But he is, he plays, I think, mandolin and fiddle. I don't know how popular he is, but I've got one of his CDs, and he actually does that song as well. Mark O'Connor may have done this song, but you can, I mean, there's tons of resources of the actual song that you can hear. And that's a good thing that I suggest too, is go listen to these fiddle tunes and kind of figure out how they work. You can listen to it from Vassar Clements himself, find him doing it, or find a fiddle version of it, and then piece it together and then, you know, create it on the guitar. That's what the guitarists like Clarence White and Doc Watson and Dan Curry and even Tony Rice had to do. And people still do today. They find a tune they like, and guess what? They create a guitar version of it, or they create a mandolin version of it. if it was originally created as a fiddle tune. So that's what I encourage you to do, is definitely check those out. But we're coming in the key of D minor here, and most people play D minor like this, but I tend to play it with my pinky here on the B string 3rd fret, because that allows me to drop down to this if I need to. This extra note here, which is an F, which that way it allows me to utilize that much more string space if I need to move it up to like an E minor. Instead of just the bottom 3, I can utilize that if I need to. So I kind of tend to, when I first learned the D minor, I learned I could do that, so ever since then I've used my pinky there. And I find it doesn't really hinder me at all. So the tune starts out just very simple. So we've got the little bluesy sound, 3rd, 4th, A string, open, 3rd, 4th, open D. And this is a lot of what I call backtracking, okay? If you haven't seen that lesson, look for Backtracking on my channel. Do a search for that, and you'll see me in a big old yellow shirt in a park somewhere doing a lesson on this. This is very vital, and I actually go over this in my Bluegrass guitar course that's going to be released. I go over this in detail as well in that at bluegrassguitaressentials.com. You can go over there and check out the newsletter if you've not signed up for any updates, and that's where all the updates are going to be coming from. The release date will be released, you know, on all the multi-platforms I'm on, like YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Google+, all that stuff. But the updates in between, I'm just going to save those for those who are very interested in the course and wants to sign up to learn that information. And that's over at bluegrassguitaressentials.com. Check that out. Okay, so backtracking, it has to do with switching pick directions. And that's a lot of what you hear here. Notice I'm going back and forth, not only the pick direction, but the finger direction as well. Back to this one, moving up a little bit, then going back, and then going up, then back. So it's a lot of back and forth, okay? That's what I consider backtracking. Mostly a right-hand technique, picking technique. So that if I was thinking in terms of this, I would be thinking like a C to F. We're still in D minor, so that's just one of the notes there. So if I'm starting out, the picking is just 3 downstrokes. Down on the D, up. That's where it starts. Then it's going to be alternate picking the rest of the way. So it's down on the D, then we go down, up. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Okay, now some of that's going to be a little difficult because you're going to be trapped inside the string, is what kind of John Petrucci calls it. You're trapped inside the string, not the outside. The outside is easy. And if you're watching this hand, the outside of the string is easy, like from the top of D to the bottom of G. That's easy. You know, that's a lot easier because you got more room to move. But once you're on the bottom of D and the top of G, you're kind of stuck, kind of trapped there. And that tends to occur within this song. The very first couple notes there, that right there is the inside of the string. Okay, so right there is when it occurs. So we're going to hit D open, 3rd fret A, D open, up on the 2nd fret D, 3rd fret D is a down, and then go back. So that's an outside of the string right there, that D to the G. And then we're going up to the G on the 3rd fret there. So this is mainly contained on the, let's see, on the A string, the D string, and the G string. It's mainly going to be on the 2nd and 3rd frets. Okay, so I have to play it a little fast so I can see where I'm going. So I'm going to go. Okay, so D, G. That's going to end that little phrase. Because that's where it goes. It goes from the D. Let's see. So the main chords for just the verse is D minor, C, D minor, D minor, A7 or A, D minor. So that leads us to that C. Once again, we're still on the 2nd, 3rd fret, starting on the D. Alternate picking. Let's see, now this is where I get kind of tripped up because you can do this several different ways. You can sit there and ride those two if you want to. I think what I did, let's see. I had this worked out a while ago. I can't remember now, but let's just go with that. See. That's just the easiest way for me to do it. I think that's what I'm going to go with here. Now that's another inside the string, but that's good practice because you're doing that. You're sitting there doing that for about 2 or 3 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you do it 4 times total. So you're sitting there riding the top of G and the bottom of D. And I'm not really, you know, squeezing hard or anything. My hand's loose, there's no tension. That might be a good little practice exercise. Sit there and practice. Right there. Do it on other strings. The bottom of one string and the top of another. That's the inside the string. Okay, now if you want to transition, the way to do that is when you come to the bottom of one string, hit that again, and now that becomes the top. Now if you're going the other way, the bottom or the top of a string will now become a bottom. So let's try that. Okay, now that takes practice. Let me tell you, that was just lucky I hit all those right. I think I'm at somewhere. That B sounded a little low, but that's how it happens sometimes. Okay, so back to the tune. So that's, you get stuck there a little bit. Okay, now let me show you real quick before we get any further. I know I haven't really covered this, you know, to the C back to the D minor, but I'll get there in a second. Let me cover this really important point that I have went over on many multitudes of my videos, and that is the 1 fret, the 1st fret pull off. Okay, and this is very important. Okay, so for one thing, in the key of D or F, D minor, D or F, whichever you want to call it. Now there's several ways you can do that, and the picking's different just about every time, so you have to find out what works for you. In this case, just so that it will be easier for you to sync it up with the actual tune, you're going to call it the 1st fret pull off on the G string, and then up. That's That's a down, then an up on the D string, 3rd fret, open. Now a variation on that if you want to. You know, so you can do that really quick slide there from the 3rd to 4th fret D string, and you open the D string there. See, look, there's many different ways you can do that, and you can just sit there and practice that over and over, and you'll find that your pick just doesn't feel right on some places. So you kind of, like you play one, like for that one example, I can start with an upstroke, but that leaves me with an upstroke, and I don't want that for my main note. That D's my main note. I don't want that because the downstroke gives it the most power, the most pungency. So I would, instead of starting this with a downstroke, I might start with an upstroke. Well, actually, that was an upstroke. Let's start with a downstroke. There you go. I've got more power with a downstroke. And that's a good thing to practice because that gives you that inside the string phenomenon there. Okay, so just a little aside there. Let's get back to the tune. So 2, 3, 2, open 3. That's D to A. And then we walk right back up to where it was. That's the C comes back to this note for the D minor. And that starts with a downstroke. Now you're going to want to leave that ring finger there because it doesn't change. This right here does. And this kind of might feel a little weird. You have to realize when you're soloing in bluegrass, I've said this many times before too, don't be tied down to the chord shape. Don't be tied down to, I have to be here. Once I get close to this area, have every finger down on the chord shape. You don't. If you're going to be free and totally free and at liberty to play bluegrass style, you need to get used to the fact that some notes you don't even need. So you can either leave off the entire chord or leave off parts of the chord, you know. For example, if I'm playing C, some songs don't require I play the whole C, so maybe they only require this much. Maybe I'm playing a lick, and if I'm playing C, it only requires this much. So there's my C. Then I can come back to that chord if I need to, okay? So it's different, but you got to get used to the fact that you're not going to be tied down to that chord shape. Kind of get used to that feeling there. Right now, the only contact that's coming in contact with the neck is right here at that joint. Right here on my hand. That's where the only contact with the neck other than my thumb. So you kind of got to stretch that wrist out a little bit. And by doing that, you push your elbow forward just a little bit. The rest of it, I'm kind of, you know, just settling down. I've got a good grip on the neck. My palm is not exactly on the neck. A little bit of the back of my thumb back here is. And that right there, when I have to get that, I'm not going to sit here and do this. Because my pull-off finger doesn't work as good until I actually let it do the work. And so after that pull-off, you kind of go back to the main part. And then here's where it changes. Normally, we would go to the right there, but on the second time around, then I come up here, and now we're on the 1st and 3rd fret of the B string. So it's just a quick down. I'm doing a down up, I think. Hammer on, back to the 1st fret. Now the hard thing about this, is that little part right there. What I want to hear, and what I want to hear in my head, and it's almost impossible to do, is this. But the hard thing is, your finger has to be on this note, and they either quickly shift to that note, or just be barring there at the first place. So I have to kind of... Now that's where it would bar. So you can do your first finger here, just on that single note. But when you get back to the note again, you want to bar there. That way you can leave that, you can do it from there. Most of the time I forget to do that. I haven't trained myself to do that yet. And it's kind of hard to do because you want this note to sustain. Notice it's still ringing. So it's going to be hard to do that, and if you do that, you're going to hear that. You can hear that note there coming in. You don't want to hear that in the context of the song. You want to hear it like that, a really quick note, so that you don't. It's kind of a passing tone. So since that's too hard for me to get, I usually just I just do it from the first fret. Once again, I'm not staying on this one. I'm doing a passing tone from here to the main note, which is the second fret here on the G string. This in effect is a grace note, a note on the way to your main note. And that way I can actually hold that bar there. It happens naturally. Then I can do the little pull off. Because if I'm barring here, then I can't get that nice, wider interval from the open G to the second fret of G. That's what's hard, going from that open and then having to come back down here to that closed position. So I just do it from there. It sounds a little more bluesy, but that's fine. So now I'm barring the B and the G string there at the first fret. Now that's a down, up, and then really quick, this has to lift. As soon as you hit this note, you're going to hit that little pull off. Okay, now watch this hand one more time, and then watch this hand. Pull off there. Okay, now this hand, watch this hand, what it's doing. Now, usually I tend to go, because I'm already going the alternate picking direction, usually I would tend to go an upstroke there, which is fine. You know, you definitely most of the time want a downstroke, but if it's going to hinder your picking and cause you to mess up, then you either need to work at it or just to let what happens naturally to happen. Because even Tony Rice, his picking style is unlike any others sometimes. Most of the time he'll do the standard, alternate picking, but sometimes he'll do 2 downstrokes or 2 upstrokes, or instead of cross picking, he'll do the 2 downs and an up, 2 downs and an up. You just have to do what works for you, okay? Now this is what worked for me and what I recommend. But watch this hand again, and I'll show you the 2 ways you could do that last note there. Say you can do an upstroke there, or you can do a downstroke there. And that's a rest stroke. And you're resting on the D string so that you can already play it immediately after that, and then rest on that G string. But that's a quick thing. You kind of got to mute or lift that note there a little bit. Either way, you got to mute that note. Now, the other thing you can do is just slide right there to the D note on the 5th fret of the A string. And start back over again. Usually, when you're starting, you go. But if you're continuing the phrase, you just go and just keep going from there. So real slowly, let's do that again. Let's try that again. First time around, I'm not going to do this twice. So the first time around, watch this hand, and then you can rewind it, and then watch the right hand. However you choose to do that. Then you're going into the chord changes, and basically the chords for the B part is G, back to D, D minor there. Actually, I think it may actually even go to D. What I typically do is just do a suspended. That way it's neither major nor minor. Yeah, there's no third there, so it's neither major nor minor. So it's G, E, or E7, and then A. And then that's it. You do that one time around, then you're going back to the A part. And this is a very advanced song. So if you're a beginner, then you might want to watch some, I don't know, some other another good thing. This is another thing I teach on the Bluegrass course that's coming out, bluegrassguitaressentials.com, is that technique that Big Sandy uses this a lot as well. And I kind of got it mixed up with Beaumont Rag, but what I mean is Big Sandy. You know, so the B part of Big Sandy sounds like that. So that's another thing I go over in the course itself. But again, I'm not going to go over what I do on those chords here. I just do, basically, there's not a lot of time to do much of anything. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to do a G run, and then somehow get to the E. Now I like the phrase that Brian Sutton and Tony Rice and a lot of those other guys use, mostly Brian Sutton. He loves the open E string when you're in C or whatever. He loves to use that as much as he can, so he'll somehow use that to get to an E. Now I'm not figure that out myself because you're going from the D minor to the E, or the D to the E, whichever you want to call it. And somehow try to, you know, link that together. And then what I did was slid up here, which is just an A7 right here. So that's at the 5th fret. I'm just barring the B, the D, G, and the B. The 5th and 7th, and then keeping that bar down and hitting a hammer on there on the 6th fret of the G string. And then you'll find yourself, you know, that wasn't exactly why I taught it, how I taught it a while ago, but you'll find yourself doing that back and forth, you know, flailing for the right notes. Just remember, within the D, the G, and the A strings, you can pretty much be safe on the 2nd and 3rd frets, okay? The other thing I was going to mention is that you could do is check out the other video that I have. Just search for Easy Lead Playing in D. There's a demonstration video, and then there's an actual lesson video on that, where I talk about playing lead guitar in D using kind of a B minor shape here for the key of D minor. Okay. That was my little end lick that I was going to use. me show you that real quick. I'm just sliding up from the 5th to the 7th fret, the D string, and then crossing over. It's not a sweep pick, but I'm crossing over using this is a downstroke, upstroke, barring here, G string 5th fret, B string 5th fret downstroke. And that's a pull off with an upstroke, 6 to 5 on the B fret, the B string. So that's another backtrack. So there's an upstroke on the D, pull off, downstroke on the G, on the 7th fret, then back. That's the backtrack going back to that note here. So make sure you keep that fretted. Then pulling off. So I typically bar that. Back again. So there's 2 of those. So that's once again going up a few, then down, then up a few, then down. That's a pick direction change. And then sliding down from that little shape. So 7, 5, 3. And then this is one of the hardest things to do, is to get some form of that shape so that you can hit a very nice ending on the chord. And typically that's what, if you have a backup rhythm guitarist, that'd be perfect, because they can sit there and wait for you, and then when it comes time, they can hit the, that. So if you're by yourself, and I'm just using this part of the D with these 2 fingers, 2nd fret G, 3rd fret B, and that's hard to do that because this finger has to go here, and most of the time that causes a pull off before you're ready to hit that. So now to get this effectively, this is a downstroke, but this is an upstroke, so that you can hit that down with a nice force. Okay, that's hard to do, but that's one thing you can do. Check out the easy lead playing in D. And I also go over on several of my bluegrass things. This is also going to be in the course, is that D shape. And that's what I'm thinking of right here. I'm in a B minor shape, but instead of putting that bar shape there, I'm using the secondary D shape, which is another inversion of D, which you can use. I've went over so many times on my other bluegrass videos, like I'm going to go over on the Bluegrass Guitar Essentials course. You can use this a lot, and this is a very standard bluegrass shape for soloing in minor shapes that look like B minor. Okay, or in the key of G. And as you've seen, I basically did the same thing, but I went up and had to end on a different note, so I kind of made it work to that advantage. But that is Lonesome Fiddle Blues for you guys. I hope it's been very informative. I hope it's been very enjoyable for you to watch this. Make sure that you break it down. I try to break it down, but if you're having a problem, just go back and loop it over and over again, watch it over and over again until you get it. This may take a couple of weeks. You may not be done with this, and by the time I come out with another one, I don't know. But definitely stay tuned for some more videos on the way. I'm probably going to do one more for the day, maybe 2 more. It's just still wonderfully bright outside today, and I'm enjoying myself, okay? So enjoy this. It's been a 30-minute video, but you've got tons of stuff to dissect here. And I just love doing this stuff for you guys. Still using the Martin Monell strings. Give them things a try. Check those out. Check out the Blue Chip Pick at bluechippick.net. Give Matthew Goins a holler at mgoins@bluechippick.net. And you can get all that information there and check those resources out. And I'll see you on the next video. Got a lot of stuff coming up. And excited about some more videos coming. Excited about getting this course out to you guys. Please check it out, www.bluegrassguitaressentials.com. There should be a mailing newsletter sign-up form there. If by chance you go there and there's not, a lot of times I've had problems with coding issues. If there's not, you can reach me either on YouTube. Actually, the best way to reach me concerning that course is info@bluegrassguitaressentials.com. And that's only if you have any questions, you know, regarding the course that are not covered in the updates. If you do have questions, please, by all means, check the updates first over on that newsletter. If the newsletter is not there, if you can't sign up, hit me an email and let me know, and I'll fix it immediately, okay? So I want people to get this information. If you enjoyed this lesson, if you would like to share it with other people, please do so. Please enjoy the video and share it with as many people as you can so that they can benefit from this as well. And if you happen to use my Amazon link below to purchase, you know, your Martin Monell strings, I would really appreciate that. Amazon pays me an affiliate commission for that, just to, you know, a little way of saying, you know, that you support me. That's really appreciated. I appreciate that. It's not much of a commission, but every little bit helps. You know how it is these days. So thanks so much for watching. I'm going to get off here and not waste any more time. God bless you guys. It's been really fun coming to you with another lesson today on Lonesome Fiddle Blues. Check it out and get in a jam session, learn this stuff, and impress everybody you jam with. It will make you a better player by learning this stuff. All right? Thanks so much. I'll see you next time. God bless.